Following the cancellation of The Acolyte, which I personally did enjoy, there has been a lot of discussion about the quality and production of streaming series in various online communities. Now, the business side of streaming is a totally different monster. Adam Conover did a video recently about how streaming has destroyed television from a business and production perspective. I'd highly recommend you check that out when you have time. But that is far outside of my scope today. What I'm interested in is why stories in modern shows seem so far below the quality of what used to exist. There are three main areas I'd like to address here: the number of episodes, the runtime of the episodes, and the gap between seasons. I'm going to explain the facts of each of these, and then offer my opinion as to why these problems have created lower quality viewing experiences for all of us when they are combined. The number of episodes. One of my stepfather's favorite sitcoms of all time was MASH. It ran for 11 seasons and a total of 251 episodes. With the exception of the final season, which only had 16 episodes, every season had at least 20 episodes, with season 7 having the highest count at 27. One of my wife's favorite series is Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It lasted 7 seasons, with a total of 173 episodes. The first season only had 20 episodes, but the other 6 all had a consistent 26 episodes. Friends lasted 10 seasons with 235 episodes. Little House on the Prairie had 9 seasons for 205 episodes. Buffy the Vampire Slayer lasted 7 seasons for a total of 145 episodes. All of those hover around the 20 episode per season mark on average. By comparison, let's look at what we get with the modern era of shows. Game of Thrones has a total run of 74 episodes over 8 seasons. The first 6 seasons had 10 episodes each, while season 7 had 8 episodes and season 8 just 6 episodes. Bridgerton, with 3 seasons released, has a total of 24 episodes. The 4th season is expected to have just another 8 episodes. The Mandalorian has the same episode count, just 8 per season for 3 seasons, for a total of 24. Stranger Things, over its 4 seasons so far, has bounced between 8 or 9 episodes each season for a total of 34 episodes, and there are just 8 episodes planned for its 5th and final season. Those 4 shows combined have a total episode count of 156 episodes so far. Well, that's a lot of television, but even combined, they have fewer episodes than Buffy did across its entire run. Episode runtime. The first season of Stranger Things has runtimes that vary from 42 to 45 minutes, including credits. Episodes of Bridgerton range from 52 to 74 minutes. Season 3 of The Mandalorian had 1 episode come in at just 33 minutes, while another ran for 53 minutes, and a range of times in between. Over the course of its run, episodes of Game of Thrones ran anywhere from 50 to 82 minutes. Episodes of MASH had a consistent runtime of 26 minutes in the earlier seasons, down to 25 minutes in the final season due to slightly longer commercial breaks. Episodes of Friends were 22 minutes long, as shows produced for broadcast television have been slowly shrinking to allow for more advertising. Side point. You might notice that if you watch some older sitcoms on TV or cable, they don't seem as funny. Now, that's because the footage has been sped up very slightly to accommodate more ads. The side effect of this increased speed is that most people don't have time to mentally process the jokes before moving on to the next line of dialogue, resulting in fewer overall laughs. Okay, on to more serious shows. Star Trek Deep Space Nine had a consistent runtime of 45 minutes per episode. Little House had a 50-minute per episode runtime, but again, ad breaks were shorter back then. To cite one uneven example from days gone by, episodes of Buffy were, on average, 43 minutes long, with some minor variations. The first season had a consistent 45 minutes, and the longest episode was the musical episode, Once More with Feeling, at 50 minutes. The shortest episode of Buffy was just 42 minutes. A little wonky, sure, but nowhere near as bad as what we get now. There's something nice about knowing you're going to get the same amount of content from every single episode in a series, don't you think? The gap between seasons. I realize that I'm going to sound like an old person here, but
Back in my day, we knew that new episodes of television would start in September and end in May the following year, each season.
let's look at a modern example. Stranger Things. When were the seasons released? July 2016, October 2017, July 2019, May 2022, and Season 5 is expected sometime in 2025. That's an almost 2-year gap between Seasons 2 and 3, an almost 3-year gap between Seasons 3 and 4, and another 3 years between Seasons 4 and 5. Game of Thrones released its first 7 seasons annually, but had a 2-year break before its final, very short season. Bridgerton released its seasons in December 2020, March 2022, and May 2024, which is a consistent roughly 2-year gap. Seasons of The Mandalorian began to air in November 2019, October 2020, and then March of 2023. The Book of Boba Fett, sometimes jokingly called Mandalorian Season 2.5, began its release in December 2021. So if we take that into part of the Mando release schedule, there's an almost 13 months consistently between seasons. But still, an entire year between seasons that last just 8 episodes and have wildly varying runtimes. So what does this all mean? Ultimately, we don't have time to get to know the characters, so we don't really care about them. If we don't care about the characters, we don't care about their stories. And so television becomes background noise that we put on to fill silence while we doom scroll on our phones. Even if we do start to care about a character or a cast of characters over the course of a season, by the time we get back to their stories in a year or two, if ever, we don't really remember them all that well. So it becomes the TV equivalent of running into someone from high school a few years after graduation. We exchange pleasantries, say that we should get together sometime and catch up, and never really follow through. But it doesn't have to be that way. Studios could go back to making shows that we care about by giving us more episodes with consistent runtimes and on regular, consistent release pattern that doesn't allow us time to forget about the characters. That kind of change might mean we have to see fewer shows being made. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Personally, I'd rather have a few high-quality shows with consistent runtimes and release schedules being produced more often than a plethora of meh shows being cranked out almost randomly. So between now and May 2026, when we get to see Din Djarin and Grogu on the screen again for the first time since April 2023, yes, a 3-year gap between the end of Season 3 and the film that's currently in production, ask yourself, how many stories could have been told in between? Anyway, that's just my perspective on things this week. Thanks for sticking around and listening. I'd like to know what your favorite show from the pre-streaming era is. What makes it special to you? And has anything in the streaming era even come close to that favorite series? Let me know in the comments. And, as always, may the Force be with you as you live long and prosper.